Brandon Crow watching from Hockey Canada. Writes in and he says, my wife and her two sisters all played NCAA Division I hockey. They attribute it to waiting around that chute as kids and using those prairie oysters as hockey puck. Shooting them for the dog. Here's
Bingo!
one. All the raw testicles that I collected one day, I put them in a margarine container. Remember the old Imperial margarine that had the purple crowns around it? I put them all in there, and I took them to a party, a bush party. You've been there, Moose. You weren't at that one, but you've been to them. And I was going to cook them. I was going to cook them and make people eat them and not tell them what they were till after. But it didn't matter because Philip Kenyon took one, popped it in his mouth, crunched it raw. And he was smiling, and the blood ran down. Just like this.
He knew what it was?
I will never forget. He knew what it was. Philip Kenyon.
That was Fear Factor before there was Fear Factor with Joe Rogan.
I know. Beer might have been involved. But the next time that we're driving to Montana, I'll show you exactly where it is, because a lot of stuff went down at that site. A lot of stuff. I'm not going to go any further, but just remind me later. I'll tell you about the bikers that were on their way back from Sturgis from the rally that stopped at our party.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
This is peak Florida. Yes, it is. It's just so mean. From the moment I set foot there, they're like, don't leave. And the only reason I am is because it's too damn hot. But it's just anything goes, man. No helmets on motorcycles. No law. There's no laws in Florida. Ponies mating, and it's just my kind of thing.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
I do feel very honored to have been welcomed in the Sunshine State the way that I have. Canada will always be home. Welcome to the RPShow, everybody. Canada's daytime sports talk show. Nationwide on the Game Plus television network, airing in 32 U.S. states, including New Jersey. And hang on, guys. There's a reason why we are going to bring it up New Jersey. Our guest today, Andy Slater's going to stop by in hour or two. Slater Scoops, a host of Fox Sports 640, South Florida's drive time program, the Andy Slater Show, Slater Scoops. I listen to him every day. It's a big thrill to have him on. We're going to get through NHL, Monday Night Football playoffs, the Cowboys potentially hiring Deion Sanders. The Raptors won last night. Hang on to your bingo cards. NHL games tonight. I won the pick pool with John from London, Ontario yesterday. So I hope you all are just ready to settle in and have a lot of fun. Fun is this guy's middle name. Actually, Jim is. Jersey Jim Biringer. Somewhere in there in fun. Let's bring him in from Full Press NHL. Jersey Jim, what's going on, my dude? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Rod? Glad to be back here Tuesday. A lot of sports talk to get into. Always a pleasure to be here. Always a pleasure to be in the co-pilot's chair here on your show. It's great to be here. And I can't wait to get back down to the Sunshine State.
Yeah, like I said, I got some making up to you to do. We sorted that all out before the show, so I can't wait to make it up to you and get it off my heart. And I'm looking forward to the day that you come down here, Jimmy. I think that's it as far as exchanging pleasantries. The Moose is not available. Moose not here. And he's not going to be here for a few weeks. It is what it is. It's an exciting thing for him that I'll let him tell you. Can you hit the quick six show horn, guys? And we'll fire it up. Thank you.
How about that?
Look, we're going to get to football in a second, but as I said, we're on national television in Canada where hockey is not only the number one thing, it really is the only thing. And there were only 3 games last night. The one I watched, Noah Cates scored 2 goals, and the Philadelphia Flyers rallied from behind twice to beat the Florida 4-3. It was a bad game. And Paul Maurice has such a great quote. He said after the game, the last 2 games the Panthers have played, they didn't even need to wear equipment. I think we all know what that means. Tonight, my Panthers taking on Jim's New Jersey Devils. But we'll talk about that later. The games most of you care about watching in Chicago, Jacob Pelgier had 2 goals and a helper. The Flames beat the the Chicago Blackhawks 5-2. Flames forward Rory Cairns in his NHL debut had 2 assists in the first period alone. He had an NHL leading 21 goals when he was recalled from the minors on Friday. But odd, as my friend Chris from the Bronx calls him, recorded his 100th career point, but the Blackhawks lost for the 9th time in 11 games. And in Edmonton, Connor McJesus scored in the second period on his 28th birthday. And Edmonton Oilers beat Los Angeles 1-0 for their second straight win. Stuart Skinner had a 31-save shutty. So, Jimbo, how much NHL did you watch last night on a Monday?
Yeah, I watched a few bits and pieces, mainly the Calgary-Chicago game because we had that on the network down here in the States, here in New Jersey. It's fun to watch the Flames, to be honest. I like Ryan Huska, a big fan of Craig Conroy. I like what that team is building there. I always like to keep tabs on the former Jersey guys that are there, Igor Sharangovich, Kevin Ball. Like to see what they're doing. They got a great young goaltender in Dustin Wolf, and this Flames team. We've talked about it a bunch of times on the program. Like, this team isn't going anywhere right now. Will they make the playoffs? I'm still not sure about it, but they're right there in the mix, and that's all you can hope for a team that's really retooling on the fly. I think the rebuild, to me, in my opinion, is done. There in Calgary, I think they had that last year when they sold everything that they had, those UFAs. I mean, I know there's a lot of talk about Rasmus Anderson and Kadri and all those guys, but if I'm Craig Conroy, I'm keeping those guys around because those are the guys you win with. And a guy like Jonathan Huberdeau is finally finding his game in Calgary. That's a good thing for the Calgary Flames. On the Philadelphia side of things, Noah Cates, 2 goals. That's big for them. Kind of shocking to see the Florida Panthers kind of lose this one because, again, Paul Maurice, great quotes as always. But, again, Florida plays a physical, tough game. And when they don't do that, they don't win games. And that's why they're so difficult to play against. I expect them, and we'll talk about it more later, but I expect them to come out like the Florida Panthers tonight in New Jersey. And what can you say about Connor McDavid scoring on his birthday?
Yeah, well, there's out of 3 games, it's a perfect kind of night because it's just a little bit to unpack, but not a 13-game slate tonight. You know, that's a lot to unpack in a 2-hour show. Give us just enough to discuss here. And with the Flames, I love you, Jimmy, but I don't agree. I think they are in year 1 of what will be a long rebuild. And hey, listen, Calgary, we got a lot of viewers there. I know it. You can write me if you think that I'm wrong. I think it's funny how they don't want to say that they're in a rebuild. Nobody wants to say they're in a rebuild, okay? Just because they're hesitating to tell you that doesn't mean that it's not what's going on. And getting rid of Jacob Markstrom, to me, signaled that, right? And going with Dustin Wolf. He's supposed to be the next one. They're comparing him to Mike Burnett. Dustin Wolf wasn't around last year. He was in the minors. This is in the rebuild now. They're just way ahead in the rebuild. You know, and that's why I said don't start adding pieces. Maybe now at the trade deadline. Maybe now, Jim. Because if they get into the playoffs, it's a major, major, major win. As far as the Oilers go, it's just interesting to see where teams are. The Oilers, everybody expects them to be there in the end. What do they do? It's very similar to the Panthers. They're just fiddle-farting around right now. Paul Maurice can say his cute quotes and get us all laughing, but the fact of the matter is, come playoff time, that's money time. You know what I mean? We're going to get to the NFL next. The Vikings all year, right? Let's sign Kevin O'Connell to an extension. Let's make Sam Darnold the starter next year. Oh, guys, slow your roll. Playoffs is where the money's made. Okay? So now, this year at this time, listen, I follow the Panthers more than anybody else outside this state. They were taking dumb penalties. Jim, you watched the game. They're doing a lot of dumb things last year, and we're like, if this happens in the playoffs, they're going to be done. As soon as the playoffs started, they flipped a light switch and stopped doing all that dumb stuff. So for teams like the Oilers and the Panthers, this is boring times right now. Leafs, they get it. Devils still trying to put themselves under a new coach, right? This isn't boring for the Devils, but do you see the difference in with those teams, Jim? From as I see?
Yeah. No, 100%. I agree with you. I think because Florida Panthers and Edmonton Oilers have been there. I mean, went to Game 7 Stanley Cup Final. I mean, being in the building, you understand it. Dog days of July, February. It's tough to play that style, especially the Panthers. Like, this is going 3 years now under Paul Maurice. I mean, how hard is it to consistently play that style of game for 82 games and the playoffs? They know when they need to turn it on. Edmonton knows when they need to turn it on. Edmonton got off to a slow start, but they're finding their game. This is when New Jersey needs to really start finding their game. This is the time you start putting wins together. They had a little bit of a losing streak. You know, they want 1 win in 5 games going on the road. Like, this is where they need to start finding their game again and build towards 4 nations and build towards the trade deadline. And then that's when you find your next gear going into the playoffs, because you want to be a sustainable playoff team. You don't want to be one and done in the first round. And Edmonton understands that, and Florida understands that. You know, Philly gets a nice win, right? But they're not a playoff team. And tonight you're going to potentially see a playoff preview with New Jersey and Florida. They're going to figure, you know, New Jersey to me always rises to the occasion to teams that are better than them in the standings. And then they play down to their competition. That's always been the case no matter when they've been a good team or a bad team. It's always been that way for the New Jersey Devils. But Florida and Edmonton, they've been there before and they want to get back to that same position. Yeah. You're going to have nights like that, but to me, it's good to see the Edmonton Oilers understanding how to play playoff hockey now too, because that game against LA was a playoff-style game. Because they're probably going to see them again in April. Let's be honest.
Because they do every year. And for the Oilers, they can win in a lot of ways. But we all know that they're good. Now, listen, we got a hockey guy on here. That's why we're spending a lot of time on hockey with Jersey Jim. People, listen to me. You need to understand something. Like Paul Maurice, he said a few weeks ago, 2 games where the Devils came down here and played that weird Tuesday, Thursday. It was like a month ago. And they handed the Panthers their ass. Paul Maurice said in those games, that was rock bottom. I was standing beside Pomo when he said that. That was rock bottom of our season. The coaches, I want to explain this to everybody. That's why they're analysts, and that's why they make such great analysts when they're done coaching. Serena said Paul Maurice is going to make a great analyst. He's got a deep voice, looks good, really smart. Everybody loves him. He'll be that guy. You know, and Jim, I don't know how you feel about this, but my wife, Serena, I don't think you've met her, but you will. She's really down on Sam Reinhart. She thinks he's a perimeter player, not a great all-around player, and she fights with Panthers fans over that, which is fine. I can watch. I feel you need guys like Sam Reinhart. He scored twice last night in a loss. Stick with me, everybody. Paul Maurice said we didn't even need equipment the last 2 games. There was no hitting. Sam Reinhart likes a game like that. You need, I think, pure goal scorers. Now, I used to fight with our coach, Bobby Lowe's, who might be watching this right now. He scouts for Vegas. Now, he tells me he watches the show all the time. And when he came on, he said it was an honor to come on this show. We had a player, a European, I don't want to name his name. It might have been Robin Kovash, who was a perimeter player, but he scored like 42 goals. And Bobby was just going nuts, and he wouldn't go in a corner. He wouldn't back check. He wouldn't come on his own side of center ice. And I'm like, Bobby, we can't have 20 plumbers, man. We got to have somebody that knows how to snipe. But we didn't fight, right? We're just sitting at the front of the bus having these discussions. I'm not the coach. I'm the broadcaster. I was very routinely reminded of that. Shut up. But you know what? I feel you got to have some guys that can do that. And Reinhart scored the game-winning goal in the Stanley Cup. Now, you changed my mind, Jim. I just think you need to have guys like that. So not everybody does.
I mean, look, I'm with you on this. I think you need pure goal scorers and you need muckers and grinders. I mean, let's be honest. I'm going to bring it down here. One of the teams that we ask about all the time, we talk about all the time, the Islanders, right? Can't have, just average dudes all the time playing hockey, right? Like you need those goal scorers, and that's the issue for the Islanders. They don't have a goal scorer. They have a lot of guys that can make plays, and they have 2 good players in Barzal and Horvat, but do they have a pure goal scorer? Anthony Duclair's not that. He's not that player, and they've needed that for a long time, and they just don't have it, and that's why they haven't found success. New Jersey, to me, is another team that needs another consistent goal scorer. They just don't have it. Yeah, Bratt and Hughes and Heischer are great players, but they also have those muckers and there's grinders too. Nason's in there, Paul Cotter's, the Hollows, who's injured right now, Lazar. But Florida has that balance too. Sam Reinhart can get dirty if you want him to. He can go to the front of the net and score goals. He's done it, right? But you have Sam Bennett there, and if Bennett stays, then you don't need Reinhart to be that player too. So I think it's good to have perimeter players and the muckers and the grinders because they balance themselves out. Why has Toronto been so successful when Hyman was there? Nyes is there now on their top line. They gets the puck for their top guys who were perimeter players, and that's okay.
Yeah. So from the audience, Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes that he says, sounds like Brad Hull. That was Brad Hull. And Brad Hull will tell you that's Brad Hull. Also, who scored the game-winning goal in the 1999 Stanley Cup? Brad Hull. So again, nobody's hiring me to coach. I'm not saying Losey's wrong or that my wife's wrong. I'm just saying this is what I think. We need something like that. Okay? Ryan in upstate New York writes in. Ryan in upstate New York says, good day, Rod Squad, and good day to Jersey Jim as well. Cardinal Ryan from Saratoga, New York. Okay. Colt writes in from San Diego. He's watching. He says, hello from a burning state of California. Good morning, everyone. And my Vikings are trash. And my heart gets broken again. Thank you for the segue, Colt. We're going to switch to football now because Jimmy, he knows all about the gridiron game. Matthew Stafford, .2, threw 2 touchdown passes. And the LA Rams dominated the Minnesota Vikings, sacking Sam Darnold, an NFL playoff record tying 9 times. To 27-9 on Monday night. The NFC wildcard game was moved out of Southern California because of devastating wildfires. Rookie Jared Verse returned to fumble for a 57-yard major for the Rams, who looked very comfortable in their adopted home of State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. So I flipped that over for the Panthers game. It was already 10-0 Rams. First thing I thought was, well, these guys clearly aren't distracted by the wildfires. And that's not a slight. When the game kicked off, their focus was on that game and kicking the Vikings' ass. We only have 1 minute here before we break. We'll carry this over, and I do want to get to the Coach Prime thing. But after the game, Jim, did you see the Rams organizing the game to the people of Los Angeles? And I think that's awesome that they did. I often wonder if that stuff matters when your house is gone. Nice gesture. I wonder how far it goes. What do you think?
I think it goes pretty far. Let's be honest. Like living in this area, especially when you were in the World Series for after 9/11 and all that stuff, after a tragedy, Boston, all that stuff. I think it matters. Yeah, in the moment it matters. Later on, you don't have a house, it doesn't matter. But right now, I think it's a feel-good moment, and I think the people of Los Angeles saw their team play for them and give them a feel-good moment in the moment because they've lost everything.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you don't know unless you're in the room what their motivation was going to be. You make a good point. Were they playing for the people of LA out there? They were playing for something, whatever the hell it was. And I just want to put this out there and say, I'm not saying it didn't mean anything to the people of LA. I'm asking how much did it mean, if anything? And I'll just give you an example where I could speak to this. After the Humboldt Broncos tragedy in 2018, whatever year it was, I'm sorry, the Humboldt Broncos tragedy, it was in 2016. April 6th, I think it was 2018. 2018. I get my dates mixed up. I'm getting old. A few months, or like a month later, actually, there was a free agent camp, tryout camp for junior players run by Mike Babcock, and it was behind closed doors at an arena in Saskatoon. And I broke the story that Mike Babcock was running this camp, and he was so freaking mad at me for breaking that story because Babs was like, I don't need the publicity. I'm not doing it for that. I'm like, Babs, don't worry about it. I don't care that you're mad. We need a good news story. Right? So it's the similar sort of thing. So they needed something to feel good about. So, Jimmy, that's so good at what you do. We'll be back in a moment, and we'll continue this very fun discussion on a Monday. We're brought to you by blood.ca. We'll tell you more about that in a moment. And, of course, hour 1 is for Culligan Water. We're live on Game Plus Television, streaming live, and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Did you know that you can help save life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
It may take weeks, months, or even years to get the call to be a stem cell donor. Saving lives takes commitment and dedication, just like being a hockey player. Give hope to patients in Canada. Register on blood.ca/getswabbed. And spread the word amongst your family and friends. Speaking of family and friends, the Moose ain't here. Moose not here. And he'll be gone for a couple of weeks. Hello, Allie in Texarkana. She writes in. Let's bring in Jersey Jim. He's filling in for Moose today. We've got a rotating stable of my good buddies to talk sports here this week. We're going to get to our poll question here in a second. Well, actually, right now, here's the story. Point 3. Allie, you showed up just in time. Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones says Mike McCarthy will not return as the team's coach. Jones said Monday that the organization and McCarthy mutually agreed to part ways. McCarthy's contract expired following a 7-10 season. A source says Jones has spoken about the job with University of Colorado coach Deion Sanders, who played on the Cowboys' last Super Bowl winning team. Prime has previously given a verbal commitment to Colorado to return for a third season in 2025. That's our poll question today. Should the Dallas Cowboys hire Coach Prime, Deion Sanders? Shy writes in, Shy Courage. He says, what a poor poll. With NFL playoffs asking about a losing team for losers. I said, Shy, go watch something else then.
How about that?
And he writes in and says, He writes in and says, sensitive, are we? That's what all assholes say when you point out their crap.
Spicy.
So, Shy, beat it. So, yes, what do you think about Troy Aikman? I'm sure people are sending me his comments last night from the broadcast on Fox where he said, hey, I love the Dallas Cowboys, but did a coveted job. I'm paraphrasing. Troy's my guy. He's America's quarterback. At least he is to me. I've been saying over the past few weeks, if you read between the lines, he doesn't even like Jerry Jones. So that's why it's not a coveted job. Okay, Jim, you're sitting up there, you're watching the Giants and the Jets, and say that's another level of dysfunction. Maybe you don't have time to watch the Cowboys. That's what I think that is going on here. I don't think anybody's been paying attention to what's been going on in Dallas for the last several years. It's a toxic place. How is this news, I guess, is my thing. Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw the comments by Troy Aikman, and I kind of agree with him. I don't think it's really a coveted job until Jerry Jones, the GM, is not there anymore controlling the team. Like, what respected head coach that's an alpha in this league would want to be told what to do by Jerry Jones not having personnel decisions, not being the first press conference to reporters? Like, you guys got to understand how things work. And I only found this out this year watching TV about Jerry Jones actually is the first guy that reporters go to down in Dallas to get comments. I mean, you're not supposed to be going to the general manager of a football team on game day after a loss to get comments. That you get to the players, you get to the coaches. You should not hear from the general manager except for the beginning of the season, a midseason report, and the end of the season. That's the only time you should be hearing about the general manager, if they make a trade, coach firing, stuff like that. But it's Jerry's world, and it goes back to the days Jimmy Johnson was there. Two alpha dogs that were in that room, and that the reason the team was of time was because Jimmy Johnson was the general manager, and then it became an ego trip for Jerry Jones because he didn't get the credit, because he bought the team, because he wanted to win. Dude, you won. Like, you won. And then Barry Switzer came in, and now they've been looking for that success, and they haven't found it because Jerry just gets in his own way. And look, I think Dion would be a good hire, but I don't know if Dion will want to play second fiddle to Jerry Jones in Dallas. He is about everybody being about him in his way, and that's why he works so good in Colorado in college. I don't know if he could play behind Jerry Jones and what goes on there.
Okay, so number one, I voted yes. I think all Cowboys fans want Prime to come coach the team. And that's why I get a kick out of the knob who said, why is this your poll? I'm running at LA Fitness this morning on the treadmills, 5 miles in 40 minutes. All the TV were about this. I don't make the rules. It's what everybody's talking about. You can attest to that, Jim. This is what Jerry wants. He's a narcissist. There's no two ways about it. He wants the energy. He wants the vibe. He's an energy vampire. All the other teams that are playing and chasing the ball, everybody's talking about him. That's what he wants. Prime's the only guy I think that could actually deal with that. Allie writes in, she says, I say hire him, but I don't think he wants the job. And she says, Jerry was on Landman the other night. I asked Jersey Jim if he watches Landman. He said no, so I'm not even going to ask Jersey Jim. But here's the thing. You're supposed to be the GM of the Dallas Cowboys, and you're appearing in Landman on Paramount Plus. And then you're being interviewed before the Tyson-Paul fight. So that should... in my commentary this morning... I said he denied Mike McCarthy the opportunity to talk with the Chicago Bears last week, knowing full well in less than a week he was going to fire him. What kind of a jerk does that? And by the way, I've worked for guys like that. It's a ticket to Nowheresville. Nowheresville. Okay? Just to be a jerk. This is what Troy Aikman's talking about. Like, I'm running around going, how come you're all just seeing this now? So,
it's
as Allie in Texarkana says, yeah, Jay says, I don't know if Prime wants it. You're not a CFL guy, so you wouldn't follow this story, Jim, but the Canadian viewers that do will. When Chris Jones, he just got hired. Chris Jones just got hired by North Carolina by Bill Belichick. So that's the guy. When he went to Edmonton, huge ego. which is fine. I don't have a problem with Chris Jones at all. Huge ego to run the football. They hired a guy by the name of Victor Cui, huge MMA star business guy to run the business. And everybody said, this is either going to go one of two ways. They're going to go, right, take it to places they've never been, or a fiery crash. And it was the crash that happened. Think that would be what it would be with the Cowboys. Prime shows up, him and Jerry get along, and they win arm in arm, Super Bowl after Super Bowl, or they end up kicking the shit out of each other in front of AT&T. Probably the former, or the latter. But I think we need to give it a try. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think you could see the success you had under Jimmy Johnson in such a short period. If Prime was there, you get the right players, get the right, personnel in there, right coaching staff. I think you could see a Super Bowl, maybe two. I could definitely see quick success. But again, in the NFL, this is in college, right? You get hired to be fired, right? Every coach knows that. And even Mike McCarthy knew that, and he was there for 5 years in Dallas, and he saw what was going on and that's why they couldn't get a new deal done with McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys. So to me, Dion, yes, good fit for this team. I don't know if he wants it. I think he really is committed to Colorado and building that program. I think he likes working with the kids, but again, I'd like to see it, and everybody's got to realize this. Jerry Jones about the clicks, about the headlines. He's not about the wins. That's what he's about. You think about it, you go through that practice facility, you got people torn when these guys are doing practice, doing these reps in the weight room. Like, what other franchise has that? Jerry is about headlines, and that's what it's all about. It's about the Dallas Cowboys, about Jerry's world, and he plays by different rules, and everybody needs to realize that he plays by different rules, and things don't make sense, and that's why the McCarthy thing didn't make any sense. You knew he was going to get rid of him. And he knew he was getting rid of him, but he just wanted to hold on and say, I have power here. I'm not going to let you go. And we know Mike McCarthy wasn't coming back anyway.
Disgusting.
So, and it really is.
Disgusting. Okay. And that, by the way, though, for everybody who says, I don't think Prime wants it. No, you're talking about yourself. You wouldn't want it. But I look at, like, Mike Babcock. Mike's got a huge ego. Everybody knows it. When he went to Toronto, that was perfect for Babs. See, that's the hockey parallel to this. And that went down in flames, which made me think that nobody will ever be successful in Toronto because I'm still a Mike Babcock fan. Anywho, John Ferguson writes in from London, Ontario. He says, hey, Rod, John here, watching on Game Plus. In our daily hockey pick challenge yesterday, I won 1 and lost 2. You won 2 and lost 1. So you're 1 up on me. See, you step into that trap and I got you. Jim's going to make the picks today. Jimbo's going to make the picks because he's our NHL analyst. Are you ready, Jersey Jim?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Here we go. I've done this with you before. You know how it works. Anaheim at Washington tonight. Who wins?
Washington. Give me OV goal too.
Yeah, and an OV goal. He's getting fancy. Tampa Bay at Boston. I got Bruins. You?
I'm going with the Bolts.
Okay. Philadelphia at Columbus. Blue Jackets for me.
Blue Jackets for me, too.
I think they've won 4 in a row. Dallas at Toronto. Leafs all day for me. You?
I'm gonna go Dallas. I'm going to Dallas on the road.
San Jose at Detroit as the Wings go for an 8th consecutive win. I'll take Detroit. You?
Detroit all the way. Detroit all the way.
Okay. Detroit all the way. I can see the T-shirt now. Seattle at Pittsburgh. Penguins for me, dog. How about you?
I mean, I'm going to go Seattle. I'll be a little different here on the road. I'm just never sold on Pittsburgh. Okay. I don't know what I'm getting game to game there.
That game of the night. The Florida Panthers at the New Jersey Devils. Panthers here, brah. How about you?
I'll go Devils. I'll be different. I'll be Devils at home.
Oh, yeah, they're different. As if we didn't know you were going to pick. You're the biggest homer ever. Ottawa at the New York Islanders. Sins for me. How about you?
I'm going with Sens here. I like Sens on the road.
Calgary Flames at the St. Louis Blues. Oh, that's a huge 4-pointer right there. I'll go with the Flames. You?
I'll take the Flames. I like Calgary.
I didn't say I didn't like Calgary. I'm taking them too, though. Vegas at Nashville. I gotta go with the Golden Knights. I gotta roll with the Knights.
I gotta go with
How about you?
I gotta go with Vegas. One of the hottest teams in the NHL right now. They're finding they're unstoppable.
Vancouver at the Winnipeg Jets. I'm a Jets backer. Always have been, so it's the Jets for me. How about you?
Jets for me, too. Connor Hellebuck, Vezina. Give it to him.
Montreal at Utah. You go first this time.
I'm going to take the Canadiens on the road.
I would like to agree, but for the sake of not agreeing, I'll take the Utah Yetis. You heard it here first. That'll be their name, the Utah Yetis. And the Rangers at Colorado. As far as I'm concerned, they got their upset out of the way by winning in Vegas. They're not winning in Denver tonight. I got the Avs, but maybe you don't agree. Who do you got?
I think I like the Rangers. I like the way they've been playing. I'm going to take the Rangers on the road.
All right, buddy. Well, this has been a very fast 34 minutes, opening 2 segments. Jimmy, great job as always. My best to your wonderful parents. Thank them for me, please, for watching every day here on Game Plus, and let's do it again soon.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure. Always love watching. Always love the support from my parents and everybody who watches, and love being here and being in the co-host chair. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, pal. Jersey, Jim Biringer from Full Press NHL. Well, you're in luck. It's just you and me the rest of the way, plus a sports update. We got some smoking comments to get to. We're live on Game Plus television, streaming live, and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house. Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Do you have a winter birthday in your house, and is that birthday boy or girl obsessed with hockey? Then look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary to throw the best birthday parties in Calgary and area. Trust me, they do. State-of-the-art shooting, hockey equipment, spacious shooting lanes, games for all ages, a licensed bar for the adults. Check them out at 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. Guys, and gals, if it applies, in the Game Plus newsroom, go get Jeremy. If he's not in the control room, go get him, because he asked me my take on the Landman season finale. I've been waiting all show to tell him. I've been waiting all day. Actually, I've been waiting since I watched it last night. So, Jeremy, if he's not watching, get him, please. And while I wait, text me, Jeremy, if you don't mind, 902-518-3033 once you're seated comfortably. 902-518-3033. And while we do that, I'll read the sports update. The Chargers and Broncos joined the Chiefs in this year's playoffs, but early exits show they're not as close to knocking off Kansas City as they may have thought. Both teams played the Chiefs tough this season, but the Chargers lost by 2 and 7 points, and the Broncos lost by 2 when a game-winning field goal was blocked as time expired in week 10, and blew out the Chiefs' backups a few weeks ago. Broncos coach Sean Payton said getting a home playoff game was the next step, something that would require ending the Chiefs' 9-year run as AFC Western champs. So it's funny because Rich Sutter called me the other day, and he's like, what do you think about the NFL playoffs and the Chiefs? Do they have a chance? I'm like, until they prove they're not the Chiefs, they're still the Chiefs. And he agreed. Place line, Los Angeles. The Lakers and the Clippers both went back to work Monday night in LA's first 2 NBA games since catastrophic wildfires killed at least 24 people and destroyed significant sections of their hometown. The Lakers hosted the Spurs, while the Clippers hosted the Miami Heat in their brand new Intuit Dome in Inglewood, about 10 miles south of downtown. Lakers coach J.J. Redick and his family lost their home in the Pacific Palisades fires Tuesday. He was grateful to get back on the court with his players. I guess with all the new viewers here, a lot of you don't know that I am licensed certified recovery coach. This kind of falls in that. They say when you experience tragedy and trauma, frankly, the best thing you can do is get back to your routine as soon as possible. That's a fact. Anybody will tell you that. I don't mind saying it. I learned that in my training. J.J. Redick lost his house last week, and he's coaching last night. Unreal. And interestingly enough, too, I didn't. It got by me that the Clippers got a new arena. I had no idea. The Intuit Dome. I completely missed it. Oh, well. The sports update's brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas now, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Sonic the Hedgehog returns to the big screen in his most thrilling adventure yet. Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails reunite against a powerful new adversary, Shadow, a mysterious villain with powers unlike anything they have faced before, starring Idris Elba, Keanu Reeves, and Jim Carrey. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is in Landmark Cinemas now. So, I mean, we're not Siskel and Ebert here. We're not fried green tomatoes or whatever, rotten tomatoes, whatever that critics show is. Here it is. Jeremy writes in. Thank you, bro. From the Game Plus TV control room. He says, I'm watching. Well, okay, I'll give you mine, and then I need you to write me yours, because here's what I'm thinking. Why can't these be funny shows? Why does this have to be so tragic? And I don't want to spoil it for the people that have it sitting on their DVR or they're waiting to call it up on Paramount Plus. I'm not going to tell you who dies, but I will tell you is somebody died. And I mean, how deep do you want me to go on this? Serena was disgusted with the fact that the freshman-aged daughter was allowed to have her boyfriend, the star quarterback, stay overnight. And what do you think happened? She's like, what the hell is going on here? I'm like, Serena, that's the way it is these days. That's the way that it is. So the show that had Jerry Jones in it a couple of episodes ago, it was just a very down ending for the season. I see people saying, oh, my God, I can't wait for next season. Yeah, we're all like that. It was just very dark, very down, and it's not what I thought that show was all about. It was, for the most part, through this whole first season, it's made you feel good, made you laugh, certainly made me laugh. That was a dark ending. How about that? But having a look at Ali Larder brightens your day.
How about that?
You're welcome. No charge. Now I want yours, Jeremy. 902-518-3033. Who, if I'm correct, is the head of production at Anthem Sports, or at the very least Game Plus TV. But I think the whole outfit there in Toronto. 902-518-3033. Very dark is what Rod would say. There's the meme on the season finale of Landman, starring Billy Bob Thornton, Ali Larder, and a bunch of people that I'd never heard of. Elaine is watching in Victoria, BC. She writes in and says, I miss Don Cherry. He would tell it like it is, just like you, Rod.
How
Well, I'll
about
tell you
that?
something. Look what happened to Grapes. Thrown overboard. We don't want that to happen. Although that seemed to happen, stick with me, right in the peak of the cancel culture. That might have actually kicked off cancel culture. You know? And I don't know about you people. You got the bell there, Clark.
How about that?
But it feels like the pendulums not only started to swing back, it's coming back big time. Cancel culture. You know, thank you, Elon Musk, whose mom's from North Battleford. He says cancel culture's over. And it really looks like it is. Now, in the case of Don Cherry, yeah, big Don Cherry fan here. He's been on the show. What people don't want to acknowledge is he was given the opportunity to apologize and said no thanks. Didn't want the job anymore. It's very similar to when I got fired. I was told, hey, if you just do this, you probably keep your job. I'm like, don't want it. Same thing. It's not what you think. At least, you know, those jobs aren't depending on the place. That's what Troy Aikman was getting at last night. You all think being the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys is the big thing. It's not what you think. Not there with Jerry. Don Cherry, being the star of the first intermission, at that time came with a big paycheck and all the bright lights, but he didn't want it anymore because of the way it was being run. And now that's all changing. Maybe the time is right. And I thank all those NBA fans that I didn't even know we had. My phone blew up after yesterday's show. Bob in Saskatoon is a good example. He writes in, he says, new arena for the Clippers this year. I have zero clue that had happened. But as I say, with these damn algorithms now, all I search is NFL, CFL, NHL. That's all the news that I get. I don't get any NBA news. None. All right. I got Jeremy's take on Landman, and I want everybody else's. And I'm actually really excited about our Hour 2 guest, Andy Slater, going to join us. Slater Scoops from Fox Sports 640. afternoon drive program here in South Florida. He does a great job. I listen to him every day, and we got a lot to get to next hour. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcast wherever the best podcasts are found.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
I wasn't having a nap. I'm not going to tell you what I was doing. It's the mini overtime. And I know Jeremy's still watching. I'm going to read his take on Landman. Director of production? What the hell is it? He's the blue-collar boss. How about that? At Game Plus TV. About the season finale of Landman last night. Or I watched it last night. I guess it dropped on Sunday. It's the Paramount Plus streaming series, which, as Ali in Texarkana has written in, don't forget Demi Moore, the 62-year-old Demi Moore. He says, I thought he almost died. We're referring to the guy that we think, I thought he died. He goes, I bet he'll pull through. I'm not going to tell you who, everybody. You got to watch yourself. He says, the end episode wasn't as great as the past episodes. Right? He goes, I agree. They need to get back to the comedy of the first few episodes. Those one-liners from Billy Bob are amazing. Oh, yeah. I was just telling a guy the other day. I said, it's just like home. Billy Bob pulls up with his truck, puts it in park when the plane crashed into the highway. That actually happened. What in the effing hell? And I sit there and I see Billy Bob Thornton in this cowboy hat, and I'm like, he looks like he's been wearing that cowboy hat his whole life. And yet I bet you he's never worn a cowboy hat until this series. Unbelievable. Oh, hey. Chad in Lethbridge writes in. He says, I love the Paul Harvey intro. Taking the old folks to the strippers and the addition of Andy Garcia. Yes, they took the seniors home to the strippers, but I feel like I don't want to let too much out of the bag, if you will. They flung the door open on the old folks' home and they took him down to the exotic dance club. That happened. What more do you need? Hey, Paramount, you're welcome. Glenn in Medicine Hat writes in. He says, can you bring a Rash on the show to thrash the Vikings, please? You know, the Vikings team not quarterbacked by Kirk Cousins. Oh, my God. Glenn, did you peel the wings off flies when you were a kid? You just want to see the pain. John in Edmonton writes in. He says, thanks, Rod, for wearing the Rams shirt. Better than the other shirts you wear on the show. Colton San Diego says, question, do my Vikings franchise tag Sam Darnold, or do we move on from him and not trade JJ? Was he not on a one-year deal? You're not franchising anybody. I've looked into that because everybody's talking about it. He might not even be back next year. Cardinal Ryan in upstate New York writes in and he says, I'm looking at a pic of the Intuit Dome and it's a beauty, Clark. Apparently it opened in August with 2 Bruno Mars concerts. Well, there you go. I'm not into Bruno Mars music. Not at all. B. Henderson writes in, says, isn't Landman the poor man's Yellowstone? Same, but different. Very much like southern Saskatchewan. A lot of cattlemen in Yellowstone, but this handles the oil guys and the drugs and that. There's also that. So I'd cut it 50-50. Okay. Hour 2 coming up after this.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Esteban and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
This is peak Florida. Yes, it is. It's just so me. From the moment I set foot there, they're like, don't leave. And the only reason I am is because it's too damn hot. But it's just anything goes, man. No helmets on motorcycles. No law. There's no laws in Florida. Ponies mating, and it's just my kind of thing.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
I'm smiling because hour 2 is going to be that kind of hour. We have a lot of audience participation here. Moose not here and won't be for a few weeks' time. It's his deal. It's very exciting, but I'll let him tell you when he rejoins us. So what we've been doing is Clark's done a real nice job of lining up a stable of guys to co-host with us, and gals, if it goes that way. And coming up later on this hour, Andy Slater will join us from Fox Sports 640. Slater Scoops. The guy breaks all the stories down here. He doesn't care. You people that don't work in the media don't understand any of this, but I'm just going to tell you, his station doesn't carry the Dolphins, Panthers, Heat. They don't carry any of those teams, so he can say whatever the hell he wants and break whatever stories he wants. Slater Scoops. Andy Slater going to be with us next hour. It's going to be big fun. Somewhere along the way, we're going to try and talk sports in this segment. You guys want to hit the quick 6 show horn, please? If you don't mind, we'll just talk about what we've been talking about today so far.
I like
just
it.
to bring you all in. When it's just me and no Moose, I feel like I can talk about whatever I want. It's the Rod Pedersen Show. We try to keep the sports, but we also want it to be the view for sports fans. I feel like they would be talking about Landman on The View if that was their thing. We talked about last night's NHL games. There were only 3, but go back an hour. I don't want to go over it again. 3 really good games, but we did it. Monday Night Football, playoff game. Los Angeles Rams over the Minnesota Vikings. Jersey Jim was with us last hour, and he brought up a good point. The Rams, they gashed the Vikings from neck to navel. Minnesota wasn't even in that game. If you needed any more proof that the playoffs are a new season, and it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Some people believe that. The Rams were 1-4 at one time, everybody. Think about that. And then they came out after the game and they said, we're dedicating the win to the people of Los Angeles. And I thought, does that really work? I've been with teams that have done it. I've been with grieving parties that have had it. And I guess it does work. Kind of hollow when you lose all your belongings in your house, but I get it. And I kind of likened it to the Humboldt Broncos crash in 2018, where we were all grieving as a province and a hockey community. And to have Mike Babcock, the coach of the Leafs, come and coach that Broncos camp a month later meant a lot. It was good news for the community for Mike to do that. But he was mad at me that I broke that story because he didn't want the fanfare. It's not why he was doing it. I'm like, we all know that, Babs. We just needed a good news story. Thanks. Point 3 is the Dallas Cowboys, and will they hire Prime? I don't want to go a whole lot further down this. But let me just say, I'll go far enough, and then we'll get back to the landman, because that's why you're all here, right? Talked about this with Jersey Jim. And Troy Aikman brought it up last night on the Fox broadcast. Troy Aikman won 3 Super Bowls as the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, and Jerry Jones was the GM and the owner then. I feel like he doesn't even like Jerry anymore. Nobody likes Jerry that knows him or works for him, but they all do it because it's the Dallas Cowboys. Troy said this is not a coveted job to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, and it's got everybody talking. But we all know that if you follow the Cowboys, it's the only team I've ever loved in the NFL. And still, I'm teetering on switching. I'm not joking. Walk it back a second. Last week, Mike McCarthy was the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, and the Chicago Bears, who are looking for a head coach, asked Jerry for permission to interview him. Jerry said, no, you're denied. Less than a week later, he fired McCarthy. Why would you do that? Why would you deny him the chance to talk somewhere else when you were going to fire him anyways and you knew it? He's that kind of a jerk. So just so you know, I've worked for people like that. I can't stomach doing it anymore. That's why I'm sitting here right now. And there's a lot of guys that will do that, and God bless them. We need coaches. We need broadcasters. We need people to work for guys like that. I just won't do it. And the biggest reason is, trying to bring this all around, with the working and the recovery, it's one thing to help people with their mental health and addiction recovery. That's a great feeling. But when I started working with the military, it was another level of that, of sitting with those guys and gals where their lives are literally in each other's hands. Okay? And that's why I keep bringing up how the Vegas Golden Knights and the Florida Panthers are owned by military guys that went to West Point. Because that's how they roll. No lying, integrity. You're not going to catch them in a lie. Any monkey business going on within our team, you're gone. They're done. I've seen it. But not every team works that way. Not with the Cowboys when you have the guy at the top doing all the monkey business. See what I'm saying? I could work for a good guy, but how do you know who those guys are? I just can't do it. And the military guys, everybody sees sports and thinks it's all great, and it's Monday Night Football, and it's Jerry's on Landman. It's not that. I won't go any further than that's what Aikman's saying. To coach this team, guys that know don't want to do it. Not the good guys. Now, Prime, it's different. Won a Super Bowl with the Cowboys. You pay him enough money. Could he work with Jerry? Let's put it this way. Deion Sanders would know what he's getting into if he took that job. Now, it's just me here, so I got the time to say it. People don't understand the verbiage of the sports world. Well, Deion Sanders has verbally committed to go back to Colorado next year. That doesn't mean anything. Basically, if nothing else comes up, he'll be back in Colorado. It's not demeaning, but it's like the Moose Jaw Miller Express. When I left Moose Jaw last year, my first and only season broadcasting in the league, they wanted me to agree, sign something if I could, that I would be back in 2025. I said, guys, I'll verbally agree to come back and be with the WCBL team in the league next year. I'll verbally agree, but I'm not signing anything because if something else comes up, say in Florida or God knows where, if the Dolphins say, Rod, we'd like you to be our voice, I won't be back. I think you'd understand that. It's the exact same thing with Prime here. He's told Colorado, I'll be back. I want to be back, but I'm not signing anything. Because I think if the Cowboys came calling, he'd probably take the job. And for us Cowboys fans, as of today, I still am. I could go cheer for the Dolphins, but they're not really any better. Not winning-wise. So, yeah, let's give it a shot. Let's see how it turns out. That's my take on the Prime thing, so I'm voting yes. Interestingly enough, in our poll question, should the Cowboys hire Deion Sanders, Coach Prime. 55% are saying no, 45% are saying yes. It's what's interesting about polarizing people. Half love you, half hate you, and you don't think about either one of them. You have a job to do instead about thinking about these things. I don't. Been known to be called polarizing before. Don't care. This all came up from Jeremy, production director of Game Plus TV. He asked my thoughts on the season finale of Landman on Paramount Plus, starring Billy Bob Thornton, Ali Larter, Demi Moore, John Hamm. I said it was very dark, which was not what that series started out as. Allie in Texarkana is watching, and she says, it was a dark season finale, but I've watched all of Taylor Sheridan's shows. He's the writer, the director, the producer. He's the Jeremy Davis of Landman, Taylor Sheridan. Because that definitely wasn't as dark as he can go. Sons of Anarchy was so dark. Ryan in upstate New York says, I'll have to make Landman and Yellowstone my football off-season shows to watch. There you go. Wayne in Victoria, BC writes in, he says, I think I've been out of the loop too long. I haven't seen Landman, but if it's another Yellowstone, why do I need to watch it? Wayne, you're not allowed to go on any more cruises. Did they not have Wi-Fi on that damn boat? You're out of the loop on everything, bro. You're not allowed to go on any more cruises, Wayne. And number two, I love you, man. I met you. But you hear things, but you don't listen. Number one, Brooke in Winnipeg said, is it a poor man's Yellowstone? That would tell you that it's not the same as Yellowstone. What'd I say? Yellowstone's about the cattle, the cowboy way. Landman's about the oil industry, which, just so you know, I was raised in the cowboy cattleman industry. I don't know anything about oil, so this has been fascinating to me. They're not even anywhere close to the same. But one's about Weyburn Estevan, and the other's about the big money, if that helps. Okay, enough about that. Rich in Edmonton writes in and says, the Rams peaking at the perfect time. See, that's what I was saying. Started 1-4. There's so much to be said there about confidence, getting healthy, all these things. And nobody has written in about the Sam Darnold thing yet. Because, again, it was only a one-year deal. Was it not worth $10 million? Not franchising Sam Darnold. Now, what I would do, because he basically imploded last night. I mean, the whole team did. He didn't pull a Justin Herbert. He didn't pull a Jordan Love last night. Wasn't all on him. But the one thing I don't get is I'm sitting here watching these pundits this morning on ESPN and so forth. Why don't you sign him again and run it back and have an open quarterback camp? You got Daniel Jones there. Bring Sam Darnold back. And you got J.J. McCarthy, who's the next one. Let him battle it out in training camp. That's what it's there for. Why? Has anybody thought of that? But again, I'm not a coach. And I was saying last hour about how the coaches, listen, it's easier now when we don't have a co-host with me to get into a few things. Because I've long instructed Clark, I don't tell him who to get. I give him a rough idea who to get. And then he goes and gets them. And I said, I want more alumni, I want more coaches, players, but they're hard to get for a variety of reasons. Like, what would you do if Luke Wilson slid into your DMs and said, Rod, how do I get on your show? And then I write him back and never hear from him again. That's the way the players are. The media guys, they always got time. For whatever it is, they always got time. The coaches and players, very hard to nail down, but they're the best. They bring the best analysis. That's why they're so coveted. There's a million dime a dozen media guys. I'm sorry, there just are. I'm one of them, so it's not an insult. Or if their feelings are hurt, that's their problem. Like Jim Barker came on this show he should get into betting, man. He should get into betting. He's the one that said the Vikings can't come back. He goes, they got smashed in Detroit in that one-game winner-take-all showdown on Sunday Night Football, and they're not coming back from that. And he was 100% right. Jim Barker's rarely wrong, especially when he quotes, only when he quotes Stephen A. Smith is he wrong, and he knows that. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes in, he says, officiating's playing a big part of the NFL playoffs. Not good. That's not new. That's not new. I'm used to that. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, integrity is all a person has as far as I'm concerned. If you lie and backstab your coworkers or employees, you're disgusting. Just my opinion. Well, welcome to the sports and entertainment world, Wayne. That's all that it is. That is all that it is. And I can't reconcile going back into it. I cannot do it. I can't look in the mirror and I wouldn't be happy. I wouldn't last 5 minutes. But Rod, you're on TV now. This is different. This is different. It's just different. Bomber Boy, watching in Calgary, writes in, he says, you hear things, but you don't listen. Facts. No, I know. That's not about Wayne specifically. That's just people overall. We hear this stuff all day pumped into our craniums. How much are we actually paying attention to? Not nearly as much as what we hear. Thank you, C. Lightning. He says, everybody give the thumbs up to make Rod's channel #1. I agree. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, yes, Rod, there is Wi-Fi, but I was on vacation. For 6 weeks? What a life. They didn't have televisions? You're like, who's the coach of the BC Lions? What happened to Justin Trudeau? Who's the next president? Like, God, there's still news? It's your life. I can go without Wi-Fi for like an hour. Sherry in Edmonton, my gal, writes in on the landman. She says on the 902 text line, 902-518-3033. She says, I love Billy Bob's character on the show. It's the best. Allie's character is a little too much for my liking. Ruins the show, but that's just a personal opinion. Such a great show, though. Hurry up, season 2. I don't have a problem with Allie Larder's character. Let's put it that way. But to each their own. We're going to take a break and come right back to South Florida after this. I'm excited about this. We'll be talking some NFL, some NHL outdoor games in Florida. Slater Scoops. Andy Slater going to join us from Fox Sports 640 South Florida. You'll love it. Trust me. We'll be right back here on Game Plus Television, Canada-wide, TV and airing in 32 U.S. states, streaming live, and, of course, podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Coast to coast on Game Plus TV and brought to you by Culligan Water. Drink clean, live green, filter your water for a healthier tomorrow. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit CulliganRegina.com. This is a big thrill for me. Can we please bring in Andy Slater? Slater Scoops, Fox Sports 640 South Florida. I listen to him every day. Born and raised Miami guy. I'm just going to read off your resume, Andy, for our viewers for a second. Okay. Miami Herald named him the Reporter of the Year. Hardest working reporter. You've won that award. Let's say the award-winning sports talk host, Andy Slater. Slater Scoops. Welcome to the RP Show, my guy. How's your day going?
It's going well. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
You asked what we were going to talk about, and I'm like, I listened to you, Andy. It's nothing you can't handle. But I'm going to start with our poll question today for EMJ Marketing. Should the Dallas Cowboys hire Coach Prime? What are you voting on that?
Well, since you're giving me a vote, I'm going to say no. Only because, how much coaching experience does he have? Plus, the way he coaches, right now, I think it suits college kids the best. You bring them to the National Football League. You know how players are. You're getting paid big bucks. You want to do your thing. I don't know if his style of coaching would work in the National Football League with any team. So my vote would be no. Not saying I'm right, but you're giving me a vote. We're all entitled to our vote. Yeah. I'm going to vote no.
And it's a free country, and there's a lot of. I'm saying yes, and I'm a Cowboys fan, but I'm teetering on leaving that. I mean, I live in South Florida now. I don't know if producer Clark told you that. I have a lot of pressure here to become a Dolphins fan, and I'm like, I feel like this would be going from the frying pan into the fire. Being a Dolphins fan, they're pretty hot around here right now.
Yeah, when it comes to the Miami Dolphins, I think all Dolphins fans throughout the country and world, and particularly in South Florida, Rod, they just want to talk about a playoff victory. And they haven't been able to do that in 25 years. I've been doing my show since 2008. And I do not know what it's like to go on the airwaves and talk about a Dolphins playoff victory in the middle of January, like today. I'm looking at these games that are being played last night, this past weekend, and this coming weekend. How can the Dolphins get here? Look at these quarterbacks. What do they need to do? And that's the show that I'm used to. The draft, free agency. I have no idea what it's like to talk about a Dolphins playoff victory. I've never done it.
I know. And I want to get into a few things on that, but let's just say it for real. Slater scoops. You break all the stories. And, you know, your radio station, Fox 640, is not the voice of the Dolphins. It's not the voice of the Panthers or the Heat. I feel like you can say whatever the hell you want. I think that has a lot to do with your popularity. You don't answer to anybody. And you got the sizzle. I mean, what do you credit Slater's scoops to, man? And by the way, bravo, because I know how hard it is to do.
Well, I appreciate all those words. Yeah, my station that broadcasts my show, we don't carry the Dolphins, the Marlins, the Heat. They used to carry the Panthers. But Rod, it wouldn't even matter to me. I mean, I'd still break the story. You're right, though. It does make it easier. And I'll give you a prime example. I used to be on another station for about 5 years. I've been at 640 now. They've been broadcasting my show for about 5 or 6 years. It's been a while. But previous to that, I would break a lot of Marlins stories. And usually stories with the Marlins are not that good. And this is when Jeter was in charge of the team. And my station carried the Marlins games. And my boss would come up to me, say, hey, the Marlins called. You know, I love what you're doing. As long as what you're doing is factual, I love what you're doing. But just keep in mind, our station carries the Marlins. So there was a story that came out. The Miami Herald put it out. And I was kind of aggravated that I didn't get this story. You talk about scoops, and, you know, I work hard to get stories. And if I miss one, especially if I was like on it and I saw it, but I just missed a detail, it gets to me. It bothers me. So the Miami Herald put out a story. There was a lawsuit that was filed in Miami-Dade County against the Marlins. And in that lawsuit, it said they were a citizen of the British Virgin Islands. And everyone's like, wait a minute. The Marlins are citizens of the British Virgin Islands? So I was already aggravated that the Herald put that out. And I read the lawsuit, and I don't know. I missed that part. It's a long lawsuit. I said, somebody's going to go to the British Virgin Islands and get to the bottom of this. I said, that somebody's going to be me. And I hopped on a couple of planes. I went to the British Virgin Islands. There was only one pilot on the plane. Now I'm thinking about this small plane. I'm also thinking about this pilot's health because he's the only pilot on the plane. We get to the British Virgin Islands. I do this story, get the info. It's a P.O. box. And I got a call from one of the bosses at my station. I was in the car. I'll never forget it. I put the video out. I get a call from the station, and she says, Andy, you need to take that tweet down. I said, I'm not taking the tweet down. It's not happening. Well, we need you to take it down. I'm not taking it down. You could have the main boss call me. I'm not taking it down. Because Jeter and his people got to the stations like, hey, how are you putting this out there? And then they pulled my credential. And like 3 or 4 months later, I got a call from the station about some bogus thing. And they're like, yeah, we're not going to be able to air your show anymore. And it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened.
Usually that's how it goes, but I guess that's why you've won all these awards as the Reporter of the Year. But I did not know that story, Andy. That's like Bad Boys meets Dexter meets, I don't know what, Fox Sports 640. That's a hell of a story, man. But did you not break the story of Tyreek Hill being arrested on his way into a game this fall? Was that you?
Yeah, there was obviously a lot of people are going to the Dolphins games, and people saw Tyreek Hill on the ground, and I'm getting messages right away. So videos were coming out of what was going on with Tyreek Hill. I put in phone calls and text messages to my law enforcement sources and got to the bottom, people on the ground, because I wasn't there, exactly, what transpired. And I put that information out. And then everybody wanted to see the body cam footage because Tyreek's saying this, the police are saying this, fans are thinking this, I'm saying something. And the body cam footage is going to say everything that we need to know. And thank gosh we have that. And I was the first to acquire that body cam footage and put it out on social media. And that wound up getting, just on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, it wound up getting, I think, around 52 million views. And I was actually going to be on a flight that day that I postponed because it was running late, and I just said I'll go the next day. And once I put that video out, I thought to myself, if I actually went on that flight, the video would have been sent to me, but I would have been in the air and with Wi-Fi on the plane and the things that I needed to do and clipping down the actual clip. I probably wouldn't have been able to put it out there first. So that actually turned out to be a good postponement by a day.
As we say again, everything happens for a reason. Brent in Wellington, Florida writes in regarding the Prime debate. Should the Cowboys hire Coach Prime? Brent in Wellington, Florida says, I really hope Jerry hires Prime. Someone that demands more attention than him. Should be fun to watch. John in Edmonton writes in, he says, question for Andy. What do you think of the NHL outdoor games in the state of Florida? Which, incidentally, I think you were at the forefront of that reporting too. So how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I broke that story a couple of days ago around like 11:30 in the morning. I found out that the NHL was going to put out something at 3 p.m. But again, like you were saying, I don't have to answer to anyone, and I'm doing my job. My job is to break stories and report. So put that out. But as far as the question goes, I feel like the NHL, everybody wants attention, of course. And the NHL, how do you get attention? You do something different. I don't think the NHL is in a bad spot. I don't think this is something like, I used to be a big NASCAR fan, and NASCAR was losing viewers by the minute. They even lost me. I used to go to all the races. I don't even pay attention anymore. And then they started doing some street race in Chicago, downtown Chicago, like, so you have these things in sports where you want the attention. When I say the NHL wants attention, you want it just for regular purposes. I don't think the NHL is hurting, but you're doing something different here. And the Panthers won the Stanley Cup. The Panthers have been in the Stanley Cup 2 consecutive years. So this is cool. It's something different. It gives people something to talk about. Like, oh my gosh, Florida, how are you going to do an outdoor game? We've talked about it, not a whole lot, but like, imagine if they did an outdoor game in Florida, how would that ever work? And now you've got Lone Depot Park in Little Havana, and you have a roof just in case, there's really bad weather, obviously not snow. But you do have a roof there, and you can close it. I don't know if they plan on having it open or not. I'm sure they do. But I think it's a cool idea. People are like, how are you going to keep the ice cold? Look, technology and machinery and all that. I'm not into construction and science, but I don't think it's that difficult to do. So I like the idea. And then they're having one in Tampa too at Raymond James Stadium. So why not do something a little different?
With technology, I have no doubts that they'll be able to pull this off. But let me ask you this. I told the people before you came on, you're a born and raised Miami guy, South Florida guy. Will you be going to the game? A. And B, if you do, or even if you don't, what do you think the atmosphere will be like? What do you think the crowd makeup will be? Just your normal Panthers fans, or a lot of people? I'm assuming there'll be a lot of people that have never been to a Panthers game before.
Yeah, you're probably right about that, just for the experience. As well as a lot of other people, there's a lot of New Yorkers in South Florida, and specifically December, January, they want to get away from the cold. So more are in South Florida. There will be plenty of New York Rangers fans there, even if they're not doing well. We've got plenty of Panthers fans now. The Panthers culture and organization has completely changed. They're a winning organization. So there's a lot of Panthers fans that sometimes won't be able to go to the arena in Sunrise. Maybe they're down south. This is easier for them. It's an event. It's something cool. People are going to be talking about it. I don't know exactly how many seats are going to be open for this. I would assume the majority of them, if not all, or even more. So you could be looking at 30,000 plus, 35,000, whatever it may be, even 26, 27,000. I think it's going to be a packed house, and there will be more Panthers fans than Rangers fans. You know how New Yorkers are, Rob. You know, they got the best everything. They got the best teams. They got the best pizza. They probably do have the best pizza. It's because of the water, so I hear. But there will be more Panthers fans than Rangers fans, even though New Yorkers will say, "Oh, we're gonna all be out there." There's plenty of Panthers fans.
December 30th, the Rangers were here. The Panthers beat them 5-3. But I'm watching the game going, where are all these Rangers fans coming from? I'm like, I know it. But I'm like, it never disappoints. They always show up. You can't deny that they represent very well. And I guess lastly, hey, before I let you go, your love of gambling is amazing. You got a spade over the wall, over your shoulder. What's the deal on that, man? That seems to be like your number one passion.
Yeah, I have a lot of passions. I love playing poker. That's number one. I'm going to be playing in some tournaments coming up. I've got my own tournament at Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood every single month. That's coming up at the end of this month. And now that sports wagering with Hard Rock Bet has become legal in Florida, it's just opened up so many different things, not just for me, but for everyone. Now, of course, you should never, and I don't, this is one of these things I don't have to say. I'm not obligated to say it. But you shouldn't be wagering if you don't have the money to wager. But if you've got extra money laying around, when you wager, you just think of, hey, I already lost it. It's gone. If I win, I win. But I love watching sports. I love talking sports. And when you have action on a game and these tennis matches, like I'm big into tennis now, Australian Open, just back and forth. You get to study them a little bit. You talk to your audience about it. They're engaged. They're into it. I just love it. So it really started with poker. I just love the focus and thinking about what someone else has, what they're thinking about, and then watching sports and having action on it and getting a big payday. That's what we all dream of. Even if we get paid well, we still dream of getting paid more. Who doesn't?
Well, I enjoy watching your love for it. I make no bones about the fact I'm in recovery from addiction. Not gambling, but I'm just not going to go down that road. But I can still appreciate other people's love for it, right? And I love what you do with it. So, Andy, thanks for this, man. I've been wanting to do it for quite a while. Like I say, I listen every day. If you ever want anybody to kill some time and talk NHL with you, I'm just down the road. Thanks for the time, and break a leg this
afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Andy
I
Slater.
appreciate it. Thanks
Andy
for having
Slater.
me on, Rod.
Slater Scoops. Now you know, everybody. He's broken all the biggest ones down here. From Fox Sports 640, South Florida. We'll be back with a sports update and whatever you all would like to talk about the rest of the way to the top of the hour. We're live on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
A lot of fun, awesome things going on today, as I told you would be the case. And it's just us the rest of the way, 902-518-3033. So I should have probably asked Andy Slater this, but let me ask you people this. Everybody's going on about Sam Darnold and the Vikings and what's he going to do next year. Where did this franchise tag thing come from? Because Bob in Saskatoon writes in on the 902 line, and he says the Vikings would have to franchise tag Sam Darnold close to $50 million. Tough choice. Hang on. I went to Google, and God knows it's on the internet, so it has to be right. But this is from a news story. What is the website? AS.com. You know what that is, Clark? AS.com? It's like Sports Illustrated, but not.
No.
It says, of course, now on these damn websites, they're not helping themselves with all these pop-ups and flipping crap all over. Where the hell was it? Sam Darnold signed it. Here it is. In March of 2024, Sam Darnold signed a one-year, $10 million contract with the Vikings, including a $6.25 million signing bonus. 1 year, 10 mil. Why is anybody talking about what he's under contract for next year? It goes on to say, just Google it. Sam Darnold's contract, it will come up for you. He didn't sign anything mid-season. Would have been dumb to. 902-518-3033. Stick with me. James Mooner Warnicki writes in and says, Regina's got the best pizza.
How about that?
I know, but here's the thing that's different about me. Well, one of the things that's different about me from everybody else. You come on my show, I'm going to just be polite to you. Andy Slater wants to say New York's got the best pizza. Or what he said actually was New Yorkers think they have the best pizza, and they likely do. He's never been to Regina, Saskatchewan. So it's not his fault. Brent from Wellington, Florida writes in. He says, it's past 10 a.m. and I haven't heard a rumor yet. Aaron Rodgers to the Vikings. Oh, please.
I like
See, here's... I have no idea where Brent has the time to run this huge Caribbean protein company, one of the largest suppliers of meat and fish down here in South Florida. When he's reading all this gobbledygook and crap, he likes it. I don't. He's always telling me, did you hear so-and-so is poking so-and-so? I didn't hear that. Not down with that. Bomber Boy writes in, he says, Regina has okay pizza. Okay pizza. Changed my mind.
Hot damn.
Tony in Cochrane says, I know Rod used to have a place, so it must have been good. I miss it. I miss it a lot. My pizza restaurant. And, I told you the other day on this show, I was thinking about looking at business opportunities here. I haven't discussed this with you, Luke, Brent. But I did talk to your family about it the other day at the hockey game, which you weren't at, that I'm looking for business opportunities. I was considering owning an RV park. That didn't last very long, though. But I don't think I'm going to get into the restaurant business, especially not pizzas. Not here. Too much competition. By the way, before I read this sports update, we covered this earlier for those that joined late and didn't hear it. When I say, I've asked Clark to get coaches and players on, but they're very hard to get a hold of. It's not Clark's fault. The media guys are not hard to get a hold of. Say that for whatever it is. The coaches and players are hard to get a hold of. So Luke Wilson put out on Twitter last week, the Super Bowl winning tight end of the Seattle Seahawks, who's from LaSalle, Ontario. He says, who's the GOAT podcast, greatest of all time in the CFL, that I need to get on to talk about it? I didn't say a word. You all know that. I said, I'll let the fans rally. And they did. And within 24 hours, he's DMing me asking when he can get on. So I send him my cell number. I've asked him, Clark, just so you know, I wrote him. I said, how about Friday, 12:20 p.m. Eastern? Gone. Like a fart in the wind. That's the way they are. So we were talking about it this morning in my our morning meeting. Moose was in that meeting. And he's like, well, he's in the media now. He should be paying attention to this. I said, you will never get them to. You just won't. So I don't need to bring Clark on to tell you that it's very hard to get the players and coaches to return messages, read their messages. But I'm used to it. Clark has to deal with it. So anyways, Luke Wilson asked to come on and then doesn't return a message. So do y'all want to tweet at him? I'm advocating that today. Tweet at Luke Wilson and say, return Rod's message. That'll get his attention if you all do. Clark, while we have a minute before we break, can you look up Luke Wilson's Twitter account? And we'll tell everybody. I can't off the top of my head remember what it is. And while you're doing that, a sports up. What is it? Okay, right. L Wilson _82. Wilson has 2 L's. L Wilson with 2 L's in Wilson _82. Everybody tweet at him and say, return Rod's DM. And then we'll get him on the air Friday. But I don't know what else to do. I'm not big on harassing people. Sports update. Ochai Abazi scored the go-ahead basket with 93 seconds left in the fourth quarter, and the Toronto Raptors rallied to beat the visiting Golden State Warriors 104-101 in NBA action on Monday. Scotty Barnes scored 23 points as the Raptors won for just the second time in 18 games. There are 13 games in the NHL tonight with 6 Canadian teams in action. The Winnipeg Jets host the Vancouver Canucks. The Dallas Stars visit the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Islanders host the Sens. Flames look for their 4th straight win as they visit the St. Louis Blues, and the Utah Hockey Club hosts the Montreal Canadiens. We are naming them the Yeti. The Utah Yeti. The Detroit Red Wings will be aiming to win their 8th straight NHL game tonight when they host the San Jose Sharks. The Wings are 7-1 since Todd McClellan of Melville Sask, glad you asked, took over. Sports update brought to you by Seat Giant. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and concerts. Canadian owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake. We've got it all. Use promo code RPShow for 15% off now. Check us out at seatgiant.ca. More viewer takeover when we come back for overtime after this on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcast wherever the best podcasts are found.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Okay, everybody, listen, you need to answer the bell. Ding! 902-518-3033. I got comments that I can get to, but I want more. I'm like Jerry Jones and all these greedy owners. I need more. Are you looking for the perfect place to perfect your shot? Look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary with state-of-the-art shooting lanes, top-notch equipment. It's the ultimate training destination for players of all ages and skill levels. Whether you're prepping for the big game or just want to have some fun, check them out. Overtime Hockey Lanes has you covered. overtimehl.ca. They are big supporters of this show, have been for a long time, and we appreciate them, Randy and Michelle. Every time I'm in Calgary, I make a point of stopping by. 902-518-3033. So to the Luke Wilson thing, I was saying earlier, you're here, so you pay attention to what I say. I think you enjoy it. Trust me on how things work. With regards to Luke Wilson not getting back to us, Paul in Humboldt writes in, he says, did TSN intercept Luke Wilson's interest in the RP show? No, TSN's not getting involved in blocking Luke Wilson from coming on this show. They're not petty like other places. How would you explain Dave Naylor coming on this program, or Farhan Lalji, or Dave Poulin when he was there? TSN, they don't care. They're bigger than that. This is a player that just, I can guarantee if it was Pete Carroll messaging him, he'd be returning it. But Pete wouldn't be DMing, I don't think. For whatever reason, I appreciate Tony from Cochrane, Alberta, straightening this out. He writes in, he says, I have a confession. My birth certificate says Regina Sask, but my folks moved to Alberta before I was 6 months old, and I've never been back. I'm sure it feels good to get it off your chest, Tony.
How about that?
Like I say, I hope it makes you feel better. I feel like it's been burning in you. You wanted to say it, now you said it. Now what are you going to do about it? Where do we go from here, caller? Okay, Bob in Saskatoon. Listen, the way you think is not unlike the way my friend Brent in Wellington, Florida thinks. You guys, Bob, were you in business at all? Were you a boss? Because that's the way Brent in Florida thinks. He goes, if they don't franchise Sam Darnold, he can look for extended contract elsewhere if the Vikings don't add years. Bro, you're not the GM of the Vikings. And again, it was a one-year deal. So what do you actually know what you're talking about, or do you think you know what you're talking about? There's a really big difference. His contract's up from everything I've seen. But everybody keeps bringing up the franchise tag thing. That would go to a guy who's still under contract, I would think. But I'm not a general manager. I don't enjoy the talk. Like last year, Brent from Wellington, Florida, very close friend of mine. We're at a Panthers game, and he's like, so who do you think they're going to sign? Gustav Forsling or Brandon Montour on the Panthers blue line? I'm like, I don't care. I'm not the GM of the Panthers. I don't spend time thinking about these things. They do, and that's fine. I'm not interested. I remember one time walking into the Starbucks at Chapters, South Albert. That's like Regina code. South end of the Queen City, Regina, Saskatchewan. John Frenzy was there with his friend Norman Dunsmore. And Norman had all the rider names, players, free agencies, put on little tags that he'd cut out. They were like that big square. Like a GM would have on his board in his office. And Frenzy was like, Rod, have a look at Norman's. Lorne Dunsmore was his name. Norman Dunsmore runs the corral cleaning business in Yellowgrass. Lorne Dunsmore, not Norman Dunsmore. Doesn't matter. He's got it all laid out and what he thinks the riders will do with their free agents for the next year. He's like, Rod, have a look. I'm like, not interested. Kept walking. I get that you spent all that time. You're not the GM. Sam Darnold's contract is up. Run it back. That's what I would do. Sign him for 1 year if that's all he'll do. And run it back. Get a great year out of him. Do it all over again. J.J. McCarthy will be healthy, and now you have Daniel Jones there. And if Sam Darnold wants to get paid in free agency, that's his right. That's the gamble of the 1 year contracts, you see. Ron in Calgary writes in, and he says, morning, Rod. Am I seeing things, or does the NFL have a huge problem with non-calls on pass interference? Thank God we're going to be off the air in less than 3 minutes because I just don't have time for the officiating, bitching. I just don't have time for the complaining. Rich in Edmonton writes in. He says, I'd do Sam Darnold for a 1-year contract. That's what I'm saying. I get it. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta, says, I feel like I just had an intervention, bringing that dirty little secret out of my wallet. Yes, it feels good. Yeah, see, that's what we do in the recovery business. Admit your faults, admit your mistakes, get them off your chest, and then work every day to be better, and don't dwell on them. That's what we do, and it actually works like a darn. C. Lightning writes in, he says, the quarterback carousel continues in the CFL. We keep that for Football Fridays. Brent in Wellington, Florida says, important stuff. Where did the new hockey stick come from behind you? Listen, you would come up with that now? This is a 1,000 game stick. Moose came up. He came down to Florida, personally presented it to me. And just the other day, I knocked Serena's container with all her earrings off the dresser in our bedroom. She went and got this to clean them all up from under the dresser. And I'm like, I was looking for that. So these are things that happen in normal life, intersecting with the RP show. I knocked all her earrings on the floor. She used this to scoop them all up. And then I brought this down here, and I had been looking for it. 1,000 shows. Moose brought it here. BW in Edmonton says, is there going to be an RP playoff pool? I don't know, DM Moose. Not my department. See you tomorrow.
I had this steak!